President George W. Bush, now with just a few days left in office, leaves the presidency with a 34% job approval rating. That's the final Gallup poll job approval rating for George W. Bush. The good news is that's up slightly. Bush had been down in the 20% range for a lot of 2008, so he ends, as we talked about here before, with an uptick. It's not unusual for lame duck presidents to get a bump. However, put in context, as I'll do here in just a moment, we can see that exit approval rating for Bush is certainly one of the lower ones we've seen for presidents since World War II. Let's go in reverse chronological order. Bill Clinton, when he left office in early 2001, left with a 66% job approval rating. Now, that was extraordinarily high, in part because the U.S. was still enjoying the tail end of that dot-com economic boom. Bush's father, George H.W. Bush, left with a 56%. Ronald Reagan had a 63% job approval rating. That was up in Reagan's final months. Prior to that was Jimmy Carter, tied with George W. Bush, another 34%, quite low on a relative basis. Prior to that, Gerald Ford with a 53% job approval rating as he left office, having been defeated, of course, by Jimmy Carter. Prior to that, involuntarily, but Richard Nixon, just before he resigned and left the White House in August of 1974, a 24% job approval rating. That's the lowest exit approval rating of any president that Gallup has ever measured. Now, prior to Nixon was Lyndon Johnson. He was burdened down by the Vietnam War as he left office in January of 1969. He had a 49% job approval rating. John F. Kennedy, who of course was assassinated in the fall of 63, but prior to that assassination, Kennedy's ratings had actually been coming down. He was at a 58%, still high, but off the overall higher ratings Kennedy had had for much of his administration. Finally, Eisenhower left with a 59%, and then Harry Truman, actually a couple of points below the current George W. Bush. Truman left in early 53 with a 32% job approval rating. There you have it, Bush's final Gallup job approval rating after 8 years in office, 34%. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, editor-in-chief of the Gallup Poll.